Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for coming over. Let's check out what we're working on today. Got the PSD brake bracket in finally. I got the master cylinder like a month ago and put it on just to get used to it, and because I wanted to put it on because I couldn't put the rest of it on because I didn't have the parts. But that happens. COVID. You know how it goes. This is what comes with the PSD kit. I got the Magura, the HC1 master. Comes with the P32 Brembo. This is your bracket. This is the important part. Everything else you can just buy by itself. You don't have to go through anybody else, but you need a bracket to mount up your caliper. A couple different options out there. There's a bunch of different options out there, yeah. On the masters too, I went with this master after a bunch of guys had recommended it, basically because of the reservoir. It just comes right out here, and you can just put the hose on and then zip tie it on. There's no running a hose all the way around and or having some master hanging up here, reservoir hanging up there, you know. And it's a little bit cleaner. It wasn't I heard talk about the lever being out really far, so I ended up paying the money for a shorter, closer reach lever. It's kind of like this thing adjusted all the way out is the same as the stock one adjusted all the way in. So this is actually, I think, all the way in. I don't know how I'm going to end up having it, but I have got pretty decent sized hands, and even with the stock one on there, it felt like I was really reaching for it to try and get to it. So I ended up getting the closer reach one, another $50, whatever. That's all these things do, is cost you money. But there's a couple different options you can do that people offer for the back. There's I forget who it is. They have just single caliper you can mount and add on to it, and keep all this stuff too. It mounts like on this side. It looks like ass. It really looks like garbage, to be honest with you. I actually give a shit about that stuff. But and then there's other ones that mount. You can get rid of this one altogether, the stock one, which is, I don't know, that's actually fine with me. But you can run two Brembo P32s or 34s on there, which I think is actually a better setup than the ones I had seen like that were had a steel bracket that was made. But MK Stunts just this week, they're popping out a machined hunk of aluminum similar to this, but it'll accept the P32 or 4 right here and another one right here, which I think is a good setup. And they're both mounted up high. Some setups have it one down here. I think that just looks like ass, but because there's still plenty of room up here, and it looks cleaner to me. That's why I went with the Perfect Stranger Designs. Always had really good luck with them. I emailed them before I ordered it to make sure that they were going to have it, and ended up changing what I ordered, but that wouldn't have mattered anyhow. It ended up taking like an extra month to get the damn thing. Like it was like I think it was almost a month wait until I got all the other parts except for the bracket. Nothing in the box, no invoice, no stickers, no your bracket's coming later. So I emailed them. Margaret got right back to me. They've always been really good with customer service, which is really important, especially now. But and she kept me up to date on when they were coming, when they were in machine shop, when they got out, when they went to the anodizing, when they got shipped out for that. And I ended up having it a couple weeks later. Whatever, it wasn't that big of a wait. But just like with all stunt parts, it seems no matter who you order from, you're going to be waiting no matter what. So whatever, it is what it is, people. So yeah, let's get back to it. I already took off all the. You're a little late, so I already took off all the fairings and everything. If you guys need to know how to do that, there's a ton of people that have that out there. I took off the rear hugger so we can get a good view of what's going on here. Like I said, the master I already put on. I don't know where it's going to end up. This is where it is for now. I ran my one finger right up against the controller here. Some guys, actually most guys don't even run these, but I don't know. This seems to not be in my way and everything works fine. We'll see once I start actually using the handbrake though. And then I got this little bicycle mirror and then the this I mounted, the master I mounted as far inward as I could to keep this from being out too far, the end of the handle. And then just zip tied that on to hold it. The brake line I already ran. This is just loose, but I got it just mocked up there. There's two ends. These 65-inch brake line has two ends. This is a straight one, and then there's an angled one at the other end. Pretty sure that's how you're supposed to run it. That's the way I'm going to run it. We'll see how this goes once I actually get the caliper on there. So we're coming out here. We're going through the handlebars. You want to go over top of the triple two. It's real important in here not to have your brake line rubbing on anything. I got it running through the middle. It's not running on anything hard. None of those, the metal wire, the guides that are in there, none of the stock stuff. It's not rubbing on any of that stuff. Then it comes out. Went right into the keeper for the throttle lines. Throttle cables running along there and into each one of those. Came up high and into this stock holder as well. And then out here to this stock holder, so that everything actually is working pretty well. Right to left up here is good. There's plenty of room. I've got some slack up there at the bars, which I might need at the end. But then come down here. Remember here your swing arm pivots. So this is going to be a movement point, a pivot point here. So this is going to want to go in and out. Just something to keep in mind. I've got it up here for now through this stock one. I might run it onto the outside. But and then we're back out to this end. This is that angled end I was talking about. Looks like it'll just plop right on top of the caliper here. We'll see where all that ends up. And I'll just move that out of the way for now. I already got the nut off. MK Stunts axle sliders, and then let's get this old caliper off, caliper bracket off, caliper, and we'll go from there. So pulling this caliper mount off and stuff, you don't have to pull the axle all the way out. You can just slide it over so you feel it drop a little bit. Pull her out. You can wiggle your bracket forward and out. Just stick my screwdriver right back in there. So here's our bracket. Got this nut here holding that front pin, and then there's this rear pin that threads in. To get this off, I haven't had this off before, so we'll see how this goes. I think you can just wiggle it this way. Should be able to. If that clip, this clip, you gotta take off the edge there. Damn it. Maybe not. It's not hitting anything. There it goes. Slide off. This caliper is just a floater. It floats on these pins. So keep that in mind. You don't want to nick these up. You want to give them a little feel, make sure they're nice and smooth. Otherwise this caliper binds as it moves in and out. So here's our stock one. Got this clip here. Remember that's there. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. That clip goes on here. You can see. Now we need to transfer those pins, these stock ones, into the new one. So let's figure that out. Moved over to the bench for this part. This one should just come right out. Let's see how hard that's on there. 12 millimeter. Just broke loose real easy. So this is the simple one. Just threaded pin. These have flats on them. I'll show them to you. There's flats. This is where it slides on. This is a flat. This is where it slides and flat. All those flats are there to hold grease for when it moves. This one is the one that's supposed to be hard. Another 12 millimeter. So I'll weld that one. Okay, this one's being a little bit difficult, so. Oh, the whole thing's spinning. Okay. Was not expecting that, because this is, everybody says this pin is in there so hard that they can't get it out. If it's spinning, it'll come out. Can't clamp on this pin. You don't want to screw that up. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hang on. I forgot about that. Justin Royal in his video said there's an Allen key in here, I think. Yeah. Those Japanese engineers got it all figured out. Yeah, just stick a Allen key in there to hold it. So yeah, M5 Allen key slides right in here to hold it. I was not expecting this pin to move at all. The way everybody's bitching online about not being able to get this pin out, I thought it was going to be really hard. It's not easy, but it's not. That pin's hard to come out. It shouldn't even want to spin. So let's see what we got here. There's your 12 millimeter nut size on the end. See, this moves. Came right out. Oh, I see what it. This is aluminum. This is steel. The two together don't react well. This probably have yeah, you get corrosion in there, and I can see that being really hard to take in and out. This just comes right out. It's just a slip fit. It's not a press fit like everybody seems to imply online. It's just a slip fit. So this is your rear pin, this is your forward pin, and then we're going to transfer these over to the new bracket. New bracket, we're going to this is our rearmost pin. Make sure you clean that off. Wipe off the old grease. Don't let that get in there. Buy some blue Loctite. If you're going to be working on a bike, you should have blue Loctite. Anything you're going to be working on isn't going to need anything more than blue. Don't use red. Red is too much. This is the rear pin. See how that goes in nice and easy. Snug this up. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to get crazy on it. You're putting steel into aluminum. Aluminum is a lot softer. You do not want to strip it. And this isn't like a bolt that if it falls off, you're going to die. So, well, I don't know, maybe it will, whatever. But, that's our rear pin. This is the forwardmost pin, closest to the swing arm. This is the one that everybody bitches about. But it came out nice and easy. This is just a slip fit on the back side. Again, it's a little bit of blue. Doesn't take much. Screw that on. Need to hold the pin with a 5mm. Okay, and we tighten down here. This is our 12. This you can get tight. Because you're just sandwiching it between here. And it's steel on steel. So you're good. Okay, now this is the part where I'm probably going to screw it up. There's our new bracket. This is the pin is way out. Okay. I'm gonna push these to push that piston in. There we go. So that piston, get that in as far as we can. So we got plenty of room to play with. Okay. Here's our pads. This clip we never took out. We have our original clip here. It goes on like this. It's going to set up in here like this. It's set on our new bracket like that. Before we install these, something else you need to buy: brake and caliper grease. if you're ever going to work on disc brakes, especially a floating caliper like these are, any of your moving parts in the brake system you want lubricated, as long as they aren't friction surfaces, but this is grease that does not melt at low temperature, so it's going to stay in here. It's not going to go running all over your brake pads or rotors, and it's going to keep everything lubed up that's supposed to be lubed. That's meaning the inside of here. That's what these dust covers are for. So, alright, now I gotta figure this part out. I'll start on the front one here. And back one. Started. I know there's an easier way to do this. And half you guys are probably laughing at me right now because I'm being a dumbass, but slides in. Just gotta watch the pad here, keep it squared up as you push it on. Just make sure you're not getting hung up on anything. And there we go, it's on. Go in here, make sure you're spread out, make sure you're in the clips. Those aren't bent. In the clips here. That's all there is to it. You don't even have to take that old caliper apart. That went actually a lot smoother than I thought it would. Which makes me think I screwed something up, so that's why I'm just it does not line up at all. Where's the go over here. Make sure we're all the way on. These seals here go over a lip, so you want to make sure that they're over that lip. There we go. See that one coming apart? It's on. This one didn't go on. It's gonna be really hard to see on the camera, I know. It should slip over the edge so that it seals up. Yep, it's on there. It went over. Okay. Line this back up, push it back on. There we go. And it's back on. Okay. Again, make sure you don't get crazy with a screwdriver in here. You're just slightly moving them out so they're out all open all the way. All right. That caliper grease I was talking about earlier, you can throw on here too. Okay. Now we can slide this in. Go down like forward a little bit to get it in the front. It's laid down. Like this. Push up on your tire. You can pull your screwdriver out, then you can try and get these lined up. Like that. Okay. You can push your axle back through. Of course, my phone's going off anytime I try and do something. There we go. There it is. Now we install our P32 Brembo back here. Make sure your pads are spread out. These come just like this. They're all ready to go. I don't know if these pads are any good or not. I guess we'll find out. I haven't heard anybody bitch about them. But I'm gonna slide this over the rotor. I'm gonna Loctite these. Hang on. They give you a couple washers with this, with the bracket, so you can shim out this caliper if you have to. Not every caliper is exactly the same as the last one that's been made, so there's going to be manufacturing tolerances. Just want to snug up your axle so you got all the play out of it. So snug that up. This caliper it's just snugged up. The bracket is snug. This is a floating caliper, so it's going to move around. But that's where that's going to live. This is where the oh Christ, this is where the Brembo is going to live. So you want to take a look at it. Make sure you're centered up in there. Now this is hard as hell to see on the back side here. We got a ton of space, and on this side we don't. And I know those pads are out all the way, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and throw those spacers underneath it, because I want that to be more centered. These are the spacers they give you. They're not like machined flat washers or anything, which is kind of a bummer. But that is just a little too close for what I want to see. This outboard pad is like all the way slammed up against the rotor, so it's already at the beginning of its travel, while the other one's got a long way to go. So we don't want to what's up, B? There we go. You don't want to have one at the very beginning of its travel and the other piston out more towards the end. You want them evened up as best you can. Now that I got these in, it'll probably be too far that way, but we'll take a look, see what we're dealing with. There you go. Hopefully you can see that. Back side here, there's still a lot of room. And on this side we actually have room then now. We didn't have any room before over here. It was slammed up against it. So I'm happy with this. I'm gonna live with that. Okay, I'm happy with that. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten these down correctly. So that doesn't move, it doesn't. Blue, only blue, not red. You're not gonna need red working on a motorcycle. Definitely not green. Green is badass stuff. It's not coming back to you. It's not coming apart if you use green. Blue on this one. Just a little bit. Just don't even have to go all the way around, but get those starter threads. Run that in. It's a 6mm. They don't give any torque spec on these, so don't screw it up. Remember, again, you're going with the steel fastener into aluminum. That's really easy to strip. And you've got Loctite on there, so it's not going anywhere. Everything's good. Okay. Now our brake line. Need to get a little bit more slack out of it. Just a little bit. I think that's gonna look good. Hell yeah. Don't want to run it over this way, because this, again, floating caliper, it's going to be moving in and out. You don't want it rubbing like that. Put it on top. Make sure it's not touching. But I think that's going to work out all right. You get 2 banjo bolts and copper washers with the line, and then I already had the correct banjo bolt that came with the master cylinder. I'm not worried about matching the bolts up, so I'm gonna go ahead and use these. These are a lot thicker washers too. Pull your plug out. Always save those. You never know when you might need them. I don't know the right way to put these on. I always put them on so the beveled edge is more towards the, up against the fitting itself here. I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it or not. That way the flat end is up against either the bolt or the caliper. I'm not a disc brake guy. I work on old Volkswagens, so this stuff is a little new to me. Just gonna leave that loose for now, because I gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this rear hugger, because I'm definitely gonna run it. Look dumb without them, and they spray shit everywhere. Okay, that's all the main stuff, but I'm gonna get this rear fender on here so we can snug up these bolts and get this system bled. Right on. So here's what I ended up doing with the rear hugger, the rear brake line. I've got this snug down, comes up over. I got plenty of room here. It's not touching the caliper. Back here, let me get my light. Running the brake line, this right there is what I'm talking about. I took a drill bit and just ran it in there. You can use a Dremel, but just to give that brake line a little home, and I smoothed out the edges. So that brake line will live there, and then here's what I did to secure it. Zip tie. I took some of that Tygon hose that was left over from the master cylinder for the reservoir, because you don't need it. Cut a little thing, slid it, put it over here, and electrical taped it, and then zip tied this down. Resist the urge to stuff this inside this bracket. This needs to have some movement in there with the brake, your handbrake line inside that bracket along with the stock one. It's way too tight. Gonna end up failing over time, but put that Tygon on there to keep from having this edge eat into the brake line hose. That's what you got to worry about with vibration, especially on these bikes. You end up with a failure. But there's that. Ran it through here. I snugged everything up, working from the back to the front. Okay. Except here, you want to have room because this is your pivot point, and then took it all the way up to the front, up there. That's how I've got it routed for now. I've got good movement on the bars right to left, so we're all good there. And I'm gonna throw this back on, and then we'll go bleed the brakes. Okay, so I'm gonna bleed the brakes here. Just some stuff I want to go over before I start. Whoever works at Brembo, you're a fucking idiot. You can't get on this bleeder with the brake line on. And the socket doesn't go, excuse me, straight on down. You're an idiot. But anyhow, every time I do brakes, especially something new, take your bleeder, get some grease on my finger, and I just roll it on these threads here. Don't get it in your bleeder hole, even though that doesn't really matter. If you put some grease on the threads, it's going to help give the fluid less of a chance of it wanting to come out that way. The brake fluid's going to follow the path of least resistance. That's going to be through here and out the bleeder. Just helps give a better seal, and if it does leak out there for some reason, you'll be able to see it a little bit better, I guess. I don't know. I've always had good luck doing that. So I started doing it, and I haven't stopped. Run it all the way in, crack it open about a quarter of a turn. I got one of these vacuum bleeder deals. Actually, I never even use it with vacuum. I just use it as a one-man bleeder. But as long as you got a piece of hose, you can slap that on your bleeder, run it down. It's got fluid in the line, so it's not going to suck up air. But run it into a jar or something that can collect your fluid, so you're not sucking air back up into the system. But on this one, I haven't really worked much with motorcycles, but there's a bleeder at the master, which is actually kind of nice. I'm going to fill this up. I'm going to bleed the whole system out. And then hopefully it bleeds. Some people say that they have a hard time bleeding these things unless they take the caliper off and hold it up or something so the air can come out. We've got a bleeder up here, so what I'm going to do is bleed everything, make sure I've got pedal, And then tomorrow, hopefully the air's had enough time to work its way back up here. If it has, I'll crack this bleeder open, see what we get out of there, and I'll bleed it from the top then once we're good down at the bottom. But we'll get to that and we'll see how it goes. Using my Spectro Supreme .4, baby. I was a sponsored rider for Spectro back in the day, and I still have a bunch of their stuff left over, so I'm gonna use it. Like that. Give it some pumps. Try and work it down. It's gonna take a lot of fluid. Doesn't even feel like it's moving anything. Oh, there we go. Got some bubbles. This should be going down pretty quick, but it's not. It tells me I gotta prime it. Okay. I guess I'm gonna try the vacuum bleeder, see if it works. It's not getting any, not moving any fluid. I'll be damned. Check it out, it actually works. Yeah, sucking fluid. I've used that vacuum thing, I don't know how many cars, and it's never freaking worked. Here, watch it suck it down. Pump it too. Oh, still sucking air, god damn it. Probably don't need to run this much through it, but I want to make sure this entire system has fresh fluid and any contaminants that are inside of here are out. I'm not really seeing any air at the other end, so I'm going to go ahead and do a regular bleeding. See if we're moving any fluid. Not seeing any bubbles on the other end. No bubbles coming up through here. Give it a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and close this bleeder. Okay, so I snugged the other end up real good. Looks like it's still sucking a little bit. Go ahead and top this off. That's good. Sure we don't have any fluid. I'm gonna bleed this. I'll check this in the morning, but let's see if that's working. I am all the way down on the brake and it's hardly braking at all, so I'm sure there's air in there yet. I'm gonna let that gravity bleed, or let any air work itself up. Bleed that out tomorrow. Probably have to bleed the back again, but there's definitely fluid in the system and it's working, just not very well. That's all right though. I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the stock while I'm back here, and then put the bike back together. Yeah, so kind of a bonehead move on my part. The on bleeding this out, I didn't have this. I wasn't getting full stroke on the master, so it wasn't moving enough fluid. I knew something wasn't right because this should have worked just fine. So I adjusted this all the way out so I could make sure I got a big long stroke on it, and that fixed. That started moving fluid. Then there was still air in there. Got the air out. Got the brake adjusted back to where I want to try it at, and right about there's where I'm catching. So still got a little bit of movement there before it starts working the brake, but there might still be some air in there. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it works pretty good. Feels a little spongy, which I don't know. I kind of actually like that. I don't like on or off for a brake when they have some kind of give. But yeah, so the brakes are bled. Didn't need to have the caliper off or anything, but I did use that vacuum bleeder. That was pretty nice. Hey, I didn't want to end the video without having actually ridden this thing after I put the handbrake on. It's freaking great. Of the 3 calipers on here, that Brembo P32 is definitely the best one. The only issue I had, all the brakes were good. No air in the system. Feels really great. The brake line, the way I routed it here over, it goes right over the key, which is kind of a bonehead move on my part. What I'm going to do is end up still going through the bars, but following the clutch cable down and then crossing over in the front here and then going back through. I haven't done that yet, but that's the way it's going to work out. There's plenty of room to do that. 65-inch brake line again. And other than that, it's been great. I still can't wheelie. I am going to learn how to wheelie. It's going to happen. And I'll have a handbrake for when I can do stand-ups. But if you guys want to see other videos, let me know what you want to see. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm just doing this. I did get a dump star here. Picked this up, 125 to the 2020 model, which is it's actually pretty nice. There's a lot of new improvements on it. I'm going to do a review on that after I get a chance to ride it a little bit. And so that one's coming. So be sure you subscribe to catch that one. And I'll see you on the next ride later on. Bye.